So Cecilia, first of all, thank you for taking the time for this interview. It's very important for us to learn from people like you from overseas, because our class is international marketing, and we want to know from personal perspectives of people like you, so that we can follow in your steps in the future. I would like to start by asking you to please give me a little bit about your background and your nationality, your age, and any prior international experience you might have.
Thank you, Wendy, for your interest. I'm Cecilia Canales, Vice Marketing Manager for Empacadora Litoral USA, LLC, a subsidiary company from Grupo Litoral in Honduras. I'm 33, almost 34 years old. Been in the United States for the last 5 years. I've been working with the group and the company for 10 years now. Basically, our operation back 2 years ago was dedicated only to the sales of farm-raised Vaname shrimp, which is the species most similar to the ocean shrimp. It's white shrimp. In the last 2 years, we've been trying to diversify our products and our sales, and we've incorporated the sales of warm water lobster tails, and 8 months ago we started working with ocean shrimp, which is a pink shrimp, and we incorporated 2 brands to our line of products.
And the color of the shrimp, is that an indicative of the flavor of the shrimp, or what is that?
Flavor-wise, to me, I find no difference. It might be because I've been eating for the last 10 years farm-raised shrimp. When you see color-wise, before it's cooked, you can definitely see the difference between an ocean product or other species that are grown. Also, aquaculture. It's different.
How did you, I understand that this is your family business, how did you establish this, that you were going to start in this business?
Well, our brand, which is the Kumar Best brand, our first brand, has been in the business for 10 to 12 years now. Back then, we were only independent producers, which means that we have our farms, but we did not own a processing plant. Mm-hmm. And we sold our product to companies which did not have farms, but own processing plants, and they develop brands and develop the markets, mainly in the United States. After that, after a few years, when our operation grew larger, we decided to buy a processing plant, and we agreed, and with our previous brokers, I should call them, a marketing agreement, and we took over their customer base. Before I started managing the company, I trained myself with them for 1.5 years to get to know my customers and establish a relationship with them before I took over the whole operation.
So that's when you actually came to the United States to work?
That's when I actually came to the United States to work.
Okay, and then once you were coming to the States, were there any barriers that you encountered prior to coming? Like, for example, did you have any problems with the government, or did you have to meet any government requirements?
Definitely to be able to make business in this country and open an operation, if you call it. The main barrier is your status in the country, which was that I had to apply for a visa. and look for a lawyer, then he would advise what would be the best visa. In my case, I applied for an E1 visa, which is an investor visa, which I qualify because it's a family business.
Okay.
And that visa allows me to be in the country for 2 years, or also allows me to travel back and forth, because that visa is only given to companies that have operations in the country. So before it was kind of hard for us to get the visa. So before that, that was my main barrier, because I could not come and start the operation if I didn't have the status
Okay.
that was required to do so.
Okay. And now that you're in the States, does the government impose any limitations on how much product you import?
No. Aquaculture products, no. There's certain steps to be followed, but basically there's no barriers, or limitations volume-wise. Or definitely your product, once it arrives a port in the country, because we sell throughout the whole country, throughout different ports in the east and west coast. There's no limitations. We have to undergo FDA inspections. Okay, sometimes your container is randomly chose to be sampled, which as a importer you incur additional cost to your freight. Sometimes that product is previously sold to customers. But there's no limitations as on volume on farm rains. There's certain limitations with ocean product, especially lobster tails, because there's a conservation period for lobster tails, which is starts March 31st up till depends, but up to July 31st, August the 10th. But during that conservation period, boats cannot go out to the water. Okay, and that means after March 31st, you cannot import any tails to the country. You can sell whatever you have in the country, because I bring my product before that deadline.
Correct.
And store that product in public warehouses, and I can move my product from those warehouses to my customers, but I cannot bring anything to the country.
Oh, okay.
During that conservation period, which varies, but it's always from March to July.
Is the conservation period imposed by the United States, or is it something the Honduran government?
Actually, it's imposed by the Honduran government, but the United States respects that.
Okay.
And that they know that's a conservation period in Honduras, and basically it's all Central America where they fish the warm water tails, and that's it's just respected by them.
Great. How many people participate in your operations in Honduras and here in the U.S.?
In the U.S., I have 4 employees, and I work with I have a 2-sale team, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. In Honduras, it's a very big operation. We farm raised. We have a volume. Last year, we produced around 8 million pounds. And high season, which starts June to January, in the processing plant, we have up to 500 employees.
Wow. Okay.
And that's not including the people that we have in our farms.
Okay. In Honduras,